Hello, and welcome to another episode of Learn to Play Rainbow Six Siege. I am the MastaSlaya. In today's episode, we're going to be taking another look at situational awareness in part 2. We're revisiting this because it's one very important aspect of Rainbow Six that is often overlooked. In this video, we're going to look at the importance of knowing where your teammates are and what they're doing at all times. So right now in this video, we're looking at a hostage defense on Oregon. It's just gone to 3 attackers versus 2 defenders. Now I'm instructing our guys to fall back a bit, so because they have a glass smoked, it gives them an automatic advantage. One tried to come in being glass, and he was just killed by Capcan. So callouts are very important in understanding what's going on at any given time.
Oh my god. What a dumbass. Oh, get out of there, Luke, get out of there, Luke. I'll ping. One there.
Friendly, last operator standing.
You're still okay your side, Luke. There you go.
Op 4, last stop standing.
Oh, he killed his team.
Alright, so things went really bad there, really fast. So let's backtrack and take a look step by step what happened and what should have been done instead. So ideally here, Thermite would call over microphone that he's going to be breaching on the left side wall so that his teammate knows that he's most likely going to be entering on that side. Now, Thermite should also be aware that his teammate Sledge is out in the hallway and is most likely going to be entering from the hallway into the room, while Thermite will most likely enter from the hole in the wall that was just blown. Thermite does enter through his breached hole, but in a bad move, Sledge decides to push in the main door and go around to the filing cabinet side to try to get an angle on Capcan in the back corner. While entering the room from the breached closet, Thermite has a case of tunnel vision and doesn't bother to check his right side to see if anybody is there. And when he does, he continue into the room, he proceeds to turn to his left, completely missing Capcan, who's standing right behind him. I guess he assumes that Capcan is behind the shield. With Capcan holding the angle in the corner of the room, Thermite runs in and startles Capcan so that Capcan begins shooting at Thermite. Thermite doesn't know though that Capcan is not actually shooting at Sledge, who's on the other side of the steel shelves, but is actually shooting at him. And Thermite continues his turn towards Sledge. Now this is where things go really wrong. Capcan, who's highlighted in green, is now continuing his turn towards shooting at Thermite. Meanwhile, because Capcan is turning and firing at the same time, Thermite thinks that Capcan is on the opposite side of the room, where Sledge is, and so he begins to turn towards Sledge as he's put himself right beside Capcan. Thermite, being startled by the gunfire and not knowing what's going on, begins to shoot at Sledge, as you can see indicated by the tracer fire. Meanwhile, Capcan, startled by Thermite, starts firing and holding fire as he turns towards Thermite to try to kill Thermite, who's now standing right beside him. You can see Capcan's turning fire by the indication of the green arrows and the damage being taken by the shelf. Thermite now gets enough bullets off on Sledge to kill him, and in this picture, Sledge is starting to fall from being shot by his teammate. And now we see the end result. Capcan was able to shoot Thermite in the head, but Thermite, before he was killed, was able to get the final bullets off in order to kill his teammate Sledge, thus ending the round for the defenders as a victory. Now, what should have happened instead? There was enough time that Thermite was okay to push in through his breach, but Sledge should have gone back down the hallway from where he came from and then circled around by the tunnel hallway to get a position behind the steel shelves. This would have given him a better angle of what was going on, especially if Capcan was in the corner, and he wouldn't have been interfering with Thermite as he entered. Now all this did happen very quickly, but this highlights the importance of communication and paying attention to where your teammates are and what they're doing. Knowing this, you can react accordingly and not put yourself in a position where you're going to end up either causing your teammate to die or causing yourself to die.
See? He shot.
In our next 3 clips, we're going to take a look at 3 examples of how teammates did something improperly, not knowing where their teammates were, and it caused either them to die or me to die. So as I've been looking around, I get an idea of where my teammates are. Glaz is on the stairwell going into archives, Ash is on my left, Big Boss is further on my left. I place a breaching charge, get clear, I blow it. Ash starts pushing on the hole that was just breached and is downed by the enemy that was sitting on the other side of that wall that was just breached. Now, because what happens next happens so fast, I can't break it down while in the video, so I'm going to show it in picture format first and then play the video. As Ash is in the down but not out state, I began being shot at by Pulse. I have no angle or visibility on who downed Ash, so I'm forced to start engaging with Pulse, who's directly across from me in the doorway. Glaz, who's in the archives, gets the genius idea of trying to help out, so he proceeds to jump out of the doorway into the hall right in front of me, putting himself almost directly in front of me just as he jumps out the window, as I'm continuing to engage with Pulse at this point. Now, it's bad enough that he already jumped out the window, but instead of staying tight on the corner, staying out of my line of fire, he proceeds to scope in and start strafing left into the breached area where I already opened and I'm already engaging with Pulse, thus putting him directly in my line of fire. Because this happens so fast, I have no way to stop firing when Glaz steps right in front of me, and so I get some shots off on him, but Pulse is able to down me and kill me prior to me doing a lot of damage to Glaz. Combined with the damage that I dealt to Glaz, and Glaz also taking damage as he stepped in front of Pulse while Pulse was fighting with me, Glaz is downed. Now let's take a look at this clip in real time to see just how quickly this transpired.
Oh my god.
As you can see, that took place really quickly. But now you're going to see Glaz, the same player, make another egregious mistake after already causing me to die. Here he's lifted by IQ, and then proceeds to once again try to engage with Pulse.
No, do not feel bad for shooting that guy in the face.
So after being lifted, Glaz immediately gets tunnel vision, and for some reason decides that the only thing that he cares about is engaging whoever was shooting at them on the opposite side, likely Pulse, and doesn't care about any of what his teammates are doing or where they're positioned, so he begins to try to shoot at Pulse. Not paying any attention to what's going on, Glaz tries to engage with the suspected Pulse. Meanwhile, Thermite, who is being played by Big Boss, is standing to the left of Glaz, and he's already trying to engage that Pulse. Glaz, paying no attention, begins to start firing, and instead of staying tight on the right wall, begins to strafe to his left, right in front of where Thermite is firing. The green lines on this picture indicate Thermite, being played by Big Boss, his location of where he's firing, and Glaz, on the original right side of Thermite, crosses into Thermite's line of fire and causes himself to be killed this time. Another costly mistake by a player who already caused me to die just a few seconds earlier. So, in this position, Glaz should never have jumped out of that window and into where I was firing. As a player, if your teammate is engaging somebody, never jump anywhere close to their line of fire. It's a recipe either for them to get shot or for you to get shot. If you do find yourself in this situation as this Glaz did, do not try to help your teammate out by engaging the enemy. In this case, he was of no help to me. As I was shooting Pulse, he steps right in front of me into my line of fire and causes himself to take damage instead of my bullets going toward damaging Pulse. And therefore, he takes damage and I was inevitably shot by Pulse. If you're in this situation, stay far away from the line of fire. Stay against a wall or in a corner. Do not engage. After being lifted, Glaz pays no attention to the fact that Thermite is engaging with Pulse. If you're lifted in this situation where you're close to a firefight, try to get to a corner or a wall and stay tight. Look to see where your teammates are and what they're doing before you begin to do anything. Instead, he pays no attention to Thermite engaging Pulse, once again walks right into a line of fire and gets shot. Take a second, look to see what's going on, understand what's going on, react accordingly. Think before you act. The next clip is going to show the importance of paying attention to what's going on. The enemies have just started to secure the objective, our teammates just been shot, and I'm going back to engage whoever's capping the objective.
Oh my god!
One friendly remaining. Op 4 secured the biohazard.
The frustration with this situation is understandable, so let's take a look at what happened. Jaeger was following me up the whole time, but was behind me. Because I get to the opening first, I was the first one to spot Ash, and so I begin engaging with her. While engaging with Ash, for some reason, Jaeger decides that this is a good time to walk right in front of me as I'm shooting at Ash. Jaeger proceeds to get headshotted by me. To make matters worse, the bullets that were supposed to be hitting Ash that inevitably killed Jaeger were stopped by Jaeger, and Ash missed Jaeger completely and shot and downed me. And because Kapkan was too far away from the objective in order to stop it being captured by Ash, what should have been an easy 3v1 win and an overall game win turned into an overtime loss. A costly mistake by the Jaeger that cost him being killed, myself being killed, and our team the game. What should have been done is Jaeger should have jumped through the windows and proceeded in that hallway while I continued into the doorway indicated in the blue. Therefore, we would have had a crossfire onto Ash, significantly increasing our chances of Ash being killed and us winning the round and the game.
Container.
Incredible.
In this clip, we're going to take a look at a lack of attention being paid by my teammate. So after killing the frost trap and now taking down this barricade, I notice there's another frost trap, so I take that down. I suspect someone is in the back corner, so I use the flaming arrows to try to flush them out or kill them, of which I am successful at doing. Ash decides that now is a good time to blow a hole in the wall right in front of where I'm standing, where I just killed somebody in objective. This puts me in a compromising position as now I'm forced to retreat lest I get shot.
Op 4 last operator standing.
Oh my god.
So let's review what happened. After shooting, I need to reload, so I stay tight along the left wall. Ash begins to start shooting as I complete my reload. Ash is spraying wildly. I correctly stay against the left wall because I was the first one in this area. Ash's shooting begins to get closer to me as I'm staying tighter to the left wall, and they get to the point where they're right at me and down me. Now, Ash was behind me the whole time, and from where she started on the far wall to where she is now when I died highlights the issue. So now let's take a look at the mistake from Ash's perspective. I'm on the left side, retreating so I can reload, and Ash is pushing to the right side against the far wall, which is a correct action when you have two people in this situation. Ash sees movement moving along behind that far counter, and so Ash, waiting to see where the enemy moves, the enemy starts moving to the right, and recognizing that, Ash begins to start moving to the left, which is the incorrect action, moving away from the wall, knowing that I'm there. Ash begins to fire erratically, even though she's hitting nowhere near where the enemy is. The enemy moves back left into Ash's line of sight. Ash is continuing to move left and continuing to fire while moving. Again, no regard for if I'm still on the left side or not. Ash is continuing to slide left. As she pushes left, I re-enter holding the tight left wall. In this case, Ash should have recognized that I was there and stopped firing, gotten out of the line of fire, and moved left. But instead, Ash continues to move left. And in this picture, you can see just how far Ash has slid across while prone, from the far side of the wall, now to exactly where I was standing when I was reloading. Ash continues to fire as she's sliding, and manages to hit me in the back of the leg and do enough damage that it kills me, because I was already at such low health, and because the R4C does such damage. Ash has now slid past where I was standing when I was reloading, and has continued to trying to search for the enemy. And she's continuing to fire, as seen right here, where she's still spraying well past the opening of the objective. When Ash saw the enemy, she had two correct courses of action that should have been taken. First, she should have called out that there was an enemy there and reported the location, and then stopped firing, proned and slid out of the way and let me handle it. Or second, called out the enemy, marked where it was, and began engaging while staying tight on the right wall until she knew that it was clear to go away.
That was on you.
Biohazard container located.
No, because I was there literally the whole time. I never moved from my spot. Yeah, you can't freaking control you.
That's all for this episode. Tune in next time for another episode of Learn to Play Rainbow Six Siege. I am the MastaSlaya.
Op 4 eliminated. Friendly mission successful.
No, I couldn't see you because you were behind me!
I was not behind you.
You serious?
Oh my god, you are retarded.